Account of Narada, Skanda 1, chapter 5 and 6. In the previous kalpa, in my former birth, I was born of a certain maidservant of Vedic rishis. Certain yogis had collected at a place to pass the rainy season, and I was engaged as a boy to serve them. Seeing me void of all fickleness as a boy and self-controlled, the munis who looked on all with equal eyes were kind to me, especially as I gave up play, followed them, served them, and talked little. With the permission of the regenerated I, at one time partook of the remnants of their meal, and the impurities of my mind were all removed. When thus my mind became pure, my inclination grew towards their dharma. By their favor, I heard them sing the beautiful stories of Krishna. Hearing those stories every day with faith, I gained holy love for Krishna. Through that love, my mind became fixed in him, and I came to perceive my sthula and sukshma bodies as only false reflections of the real self or Brahma. The bhakti that grew up in me destroyed my rajas and tamas. Then, when the kind rishis were about to leave the place, they imparted to me the most occult knowledge which had been given to them by Bhagavan himself. Through that knowledge, I have known the Maya of Bhagavan. It is by that knowledge that one reaches the plane of Bhagavan. As I cultivated this occult knowledge, Bhagavan appeared himself and gave me knowledge and powers direct. Sridhara Swami, the commentator of Bhagavath Purana, notes the following points in the above story. Seva, the service of and attendance on Mahatmas, their kripa or favor, trust in their dharma, hearing the stories of Bhagavan, attachment to Bhagavan, knowledge of self by the discrimination of the sthula and the sukshma body, firm bhakti, knowledge of the reality of Bhagavan, at the last, the appearance of omniscience and other powers through the favor of Bhagavan. What followed then? Inquired Vyasa. Narada continued. Sometime after my teachers, the bhikshus, had gone away, my mother died of snake bite. I deemed that an act of God and went towards the north. After crossing several forests, rivers, and mountains, I at last reached a solitary forest and there sat under a peepal tree. As directed by my teachers, I meditated on self, in self, through self. My mind had been completely conquered by bhakti. As I was devotedly meditating on the lotus feet of Bhagavan with teardrops in my eyes, Hari gradually appeared in my heart. O Muni, the hairs of my body stood on end through exuberance of holy love. I was completely lost in joy and knew not either self or any other. The indescribable Ishvara spoke thus in solemn words. O thou that does not deserve to see me in this life, I am difficult to be seen by imperfect yogis, whose likes and dislikes have not been completely burnt up. I have shown myself to thee that thy karma may all be centered in me. When I am the object of karma, the sadhu gives up all other desires. By prolonged service of Mahatmas, thy mind is firmly fixed in me. Therefore, shalt thou give up this faulty body and acquire my companionship. The mind fixed in me is never destroyed in creation or in pralaya, nor does the memory fail. So saying, Ishvara disappeared. In time, when I was drawn towards the pure body with which I was favored by Bhagavan, The body of my 5 bhutas fell down on the extinction of my prarabdha karma. When the kalpa came to an end, my new body was indrawn by the breath of Brahma, who was going to sleep. After 1000 yuga cycles, when Brahma awoke and desired to create, I, Marichi and other rishis came out. Since then I have invariably observed brahmacharya and through the favor of Vishnu have been traveling all over Triloki, both inside and outside, my passage being wholly unobstructed. The Devas gave me this veena, which is adorned with Swara Brahma. By playing upon this veena, I send forth songs of Hari all around. These songs are the only means of crossing the ocean of recurring lives. This is the mystery of Narada as related in the Puranas. Narada is a repository of occult knowledge from the previous kalpa. The first and foremost adept of this kalpa, his mission is to spread occult knowledge by unceasingly playing on the 7 musical notes. He is ever watchful and always bides his time in all cyclic changes. He is the only rishi of whom the veena is a constant accompaniment as it is of the goddess Saraswati. His sphere of action is Triloki, and the dwellers of Bhur, Bhuvar and Suvar alike respect him. He is the universal counselor even of the highest devas and of the highest rishis. His constant mission is the good of the universe. One thing is said of him that he sometimes serves his purpose by setting one against another, and amongst the ignorant his name is a byword for quarrel. However that be, the greatest good of the universe in this kalpa has been always done by him. It is under his inspiration that Valmiki and Vyasa wrote their most occult works, and his benign influence is observed in all universal changes for good. The Bhagavatha recites his constant endeavors to do good, and we shall consider them in detail hereafter. Virat Purusha, Skanda 1, chapter 18 and Skanda 2, chapter 1. Vyasa drew upon his inspiration and wrote the Bhagavatha. He taught this Purana to his son, the wonderful Shuka. Shuka did not marry as rishis in his time did. He left his home and roamed about the world at large, stark naked. The separation was painful to Vyasa, and he went out in search of his son. While he passed near a tank, the Apsarasas, who were freely indulging in play, hastily drew up their clothes, feeling ashamed. "Strange!" exclaimed Vyasa. "I am old and coward, but when my young son, wholly uncovered, went this way, you remained unmoved." And the Deva ladies replied, "Thy son knows not man and women, but thou knowest." This exalted Shuka was the worthy propounder of the Bhagavata Purana. Raja Parikshit, son of Abhimanyu and grandson of Arjuna, the successor of Raja Yudhishthira on the throne of Hastinapura, forgot himself in the fit of anger and placed a dead serpent round the neck of a rishi. For this he was cursed by the rishi's son to meet with untimely death at the end of a week. The Raja became penitent and deemed the curse an act of God. He prepared himself for death and took up his abode on the sacred banks of the Ganges in company with all the rishis. The Raja asked what a man on the point of death should do. The rishis present could not give any satisfactory answer. At this time Shuka appeared, followed by a host of boys who took him to be a madman. Shuka was then only 16, with long flowing hairs and well-built body, blooming with nature's beauty. All rose up as they saw the very young rishi and gave him the first seat. He related the Bhagavata Purana to Parikshit in 7 days. The Raja repeated his question to Shuka, What is a dying man, especially one who desires to attain moksha, to do? What are the duties of men and what are they not to do? Shuka replied, a man on the approach of death is to give up all fear of death and is to cut off all likes and dislikes by dispassion. He is to leave his house, bathe in pure water, and duly make his asana in some solitary place. He is then to meditate on the three-lettered pranava with mind concentrated by dharana and dhyana till he attains samadhi. If, however, his mind gets distracted by rajas and tamas, he is again and again to practice dharana. What dharana is it that speedily brings on concentration and purity of mind? Was the next question. Shuka replied, dharana of the sthula aspect of Bhagavana by a fully controlled mind. He then went on dilating on the sthula or universe aspect called Virata Purusha or Mahapurusha. The present, the past, the future is manifest in that aspect. The Virata Purusha is the soul of an egg-like body with a sevenfold cover of earth, water, fire, air, akasha, ahankara and mahat respectively. Patala is his feet, Rasatala his heels, Mahatala his ankles, Talatala his legs, Sutala his knees, Vitala the lower portion of his thighs, and Atala the upper portion. Bhurloka is his loins, Bhuvarloka his navel, Swarloka his breast, Maharloka his throat, Janaloka his mouth, Tapasloka his forehead, and Satyaloka is the head of the 1,000-headed Virata Purusha. Indra and other Ushra Devas, the word Ushra meaning literally a ray of light, or his hands. Indra and other Ushra Devas are his hands. The Dik or space gods are his ears. The twin gods Ashwini Kumara are his nose. Agni is his mouth. The firmament is his eyes, and the sun god his sight. The day and night are his eyelashes. The graceful movement of his eyebrows is the abode of the Supreme. Water is his palate. Taste his tongue. The Vedas are known as his Brahmarandra. Yama is his tusk. The objects of affection are his teeth. His enchanting smile is Maya. The endless creation is his sight glance. His lower lip is shame and the upper greed. Dharma is his breast, Adharma his back. Prajapati is his generative organ. The Mitra Varuna gods are his sense of taste. The seas are his belly. The mountains his bony system, and the rivers his veins and arteries. The trees are the hairs of the universe bodied. The powerful wind god is his breath. Time is his movement. His play is the flow of gunas. The clouds are his hairs. Twilight is his clothing. Prakriti is his heart. His manas is the moon, which is the source of all transformations. Mahat is his chitta. Rudra is his akahankara. Horses, mules, camels, and elephants are his nails. All the other animals are his loins. The birds are his wonderful art. He is the abode of Manu, Buddhi, and man. Gandharva, Vidyadhara, Charana, and Apsaras are his musical notes. The Asuras are his strength. The Brahmana is his mouth. The Kshatriya his hands. The Vaishya his thighs. And the black Shudra his feet. The Devas severally and collectively are his havis or sacrificial ghee, and Yagna is his karma. This is Virata Purusha. This is how the universe aspect of Purusha is realized in meditation, more as a means of concentration than as the end. When the mind is sufficiently fixed by dharana or contemplation of Virata Purusha, it has next to meditate on the Purusha in the heart.